guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Emirates with Sarah. I'm here with Kelly Lundberg, who is founder of Brand You Creative. I got that right.
Brand New Creators. You were close. You were super
Okay.
close.
Almost there. It's too early for recording an episode right now. So
Creative though, creators. We're doing
in
the
the
same
same
thing, I guess.
realm. It's in the same realm. I got you. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
awesome. So Kelly, please tell me your story and why you created this brand.
Well, it's been quite a long journey. How long do we have? I've been in the Middle East now for I feel really old when I start telling people this, but I've been here for nearly 20 years. And I did not come to school here.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Hold on,
I
no.
know. I know. So I've been here a while. And Dubai attracted me like it does a lot of people.
Yeah.
The weather is beautiful, something new, something exciting. And I loved it when I came here. I arrived as cabin crew. That was the placement that based me here. And that was what brought me from a very dreary Edinburgh in Scotland. And it didn't take me long to kind of pick up on the entrepreneurial bug that was here.
Mm,
And 2 years into flying, I decided to give back my wings and follow the entrepreneurial journey, which is kind of where everything started to where we are now, really. And what I did was I launched the Middle East first personal shopping and styling agency. So that was kind of my
oh,
very first business. Nothing like that was happening in the region. I saw Dubai and its growth plans. I really enjoyed helping people in the sense of how they showed up, first impressions, clothing. And that kind of grew over sort of kind of 15 years. And a long story short, was not without its challenges, but I loved it and I sold it after 15 years. And
okay.
just my experience grew. I'd kind of worked with all the type of clientele that I had wanted to work with. I'd worked with when I started out, just people from all over, to doing your celebrities, royalty. Once I'd kind of done all of that,
Go back, go back, go back. Who's the royalty?
yeah, I mean, I've been to Saudi a few times. I had a Saudi prince that would come here and I would dress him every time he came here. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had a Saudi princess in Saudi that I would go over and did ward. I mean, it's another world. So all of that was really amazing. And but I think the core part of personal styling is, how you present yourself as a brand, your first
Hmm.
impressions. And throughout that 15 years, the one thing that I've also invested heavily into alongside my business is my personal brand and personal development.
Hmm.
Because all the answers are out there. We just need to learn from others and invest in sort of knowledge from other people, and that was a huge factor of what I did. The business element of growing a business I absolutely loved, which is why it got to me the point of where I sold my business and I was like,
Mm.
where to next?
Yeah, what's the
And
next
the
step
real
now?
next evolution was moving into this sort of personal brand space, which style is one element of, but there's so many other parts. And in some ways it happened really quite organically. I started mentoring stylists because that was the field that I had been in. And then, people in business started saying, you've built a business, you've sold it, you've got a personal brand. Can you teach me? Can you help me? And I'm like, yeah. And that's where I'm like, oh, I love this. So that was about 3 years ago. And it just gave me that a buzz that I used to get in styling when I first started, the challenge, the real helping people, back to that point. But it had a bigger impact because when you help someone in their business, then
Yeah.
they help more people. It was the ripple
Yeah. The
effect.
domino effect. Yeah.
Loved it. So was doing it for basically 3 years under my own personal brand. And then this year, it's got really clear as to what it is that I actually do. So I help entrepreneurs and CEOs build their personal brand on and offline. with style just being one part of it. And if you're interested, I'll run through the sort of the 7 elements of what I call the brand you formula in order to grow your personal
Please,
brand.
yeah.
These are the elements that you need to grow through. But alongside the personal brand and the mentoring and the workshops and the masterclasses I was offering, my digital side of the business of building a personal brand that was growing. So things like, I need a personal branded website, I need personal branded collaterals, I need a lead magnet, like all of these things, a podcast cover. So then that started growing, and I was like, that doesn't fit under my personal brand. My personal brand's always going to be there. It's never going there. Your digital footprint needs to be there. But then there was also that business element as well.
Right.
So that was where Brand You Creators came from. So we help people, mentor them. We do masterclasses. We help corporate, and there's the digital side of the business. So yeah,
That's
and I'll run
incredible.
through the seven parts, and then if that helps. So I say there's 7 key areas that I've realized that to build a personal brand. Yeah.
Mhm.
First, you need strategy. Okay, so you need to know what it is that you want to aim towards, where you want to go, what are the things that you want to work on. A strategy for me 1 year was I really wanted to do a TEDx talk. Another strategy might be I want to launch my personal branded website and do whatever. So what's the strategy, and how are you going to get there and do that?
Right.
The next element, they all begin with S's, by the way, so they're
Great.
easy to remember.
Love it.
So we've got strategy, stationery. So stationery is not going out and getting, a pen with your name on it. Stationery is more your collateral. How are you presenting yourself? So things like your website, your corporate branded pictures, your
like
your
bio,
business
all
card,
that stuff.
all of that is your stationery.
Gotcha.
Next part is social media. Social media is the element of your shop window. People expect to get sales from it. It's your shop window. It's your funnel. What first impressions that people see. The next part is spotlight. Okay, so how can you get the spotlight on you? That's where it would come to things like writing a press release, things like contributing on other people's platforms, writing a blog for someone else, just the spotlight on you and your business that gives you more coverage.
Right. Okay.
Next, the next part is speaking. So speaking one-to-many versus one-to-one is the fastest way to grow your business and grow your credibility. Standing on a stage, and it doesn't even need to be a stage, it can just be more than 2 people, just elevate your credibility. So being part of a panel, hosting your own event, being part of someone else's, going on a podcast, all of that elevates like this your credibility factor and what it is that you're doing.
Gotcha.
The next element, we're nearly there, is style. So how you present yourself, your first impressions, the
Agreed.
What do you want to be remembered for? And people just think because they can dress themselves that they don't need to think about it. But actually, so much thought goes into your colors
100%.
and how people perceive you. And the final element, the 7th element, is how can you stand out? What are the elements that you can do to stand out in your personal brand? So that could be winning an award. It could be supporting a charity. It could be writing a book. There's so many elements that what makes you stand out.
Wow, that's really interesting, actually. The fact that you have like that, it's almost like the 7 S's to success in my head, like what actually creates you a successful brand for you in every way. And you really are ticking all the boxes. So, and they're all related too. Like they're not completely different S's that you wouldn't understand how to do. Like they all do connect and do each have their own individual impact. So that's really cool. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge so far, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, there's been so many different challenges, and to just pick one, because I've been in quite a long journey, it's 18 years now I've been in business. So it's or 17 years in business. It's a long time to be able to pick one. There was, one in the early days was the finances, and then, there was getting over the recession, and 2008 was a really big challenge, and there's certain things that helped with that. COVID in itself has been a big challenge, and being able to overcome everything that comes with that. So to maybe kind of give one that would be sort of quite general is, I actually think overcoming not self-doubt, but overcoming the thoughts that go on in your head. That could be, can I do this? Am I capable of this? And what are the things that you can do to keep yourself motivated and inspired? Because when you're running your own business, it can be lonely. You don't have to get up at 6 o'clock. You don't have to get up at 7 o'clock. You can lie in bed until 9 if you want to, or you can finish work, or you can not make that amount of effort. So for me, I've really put a good structure into place. So a great morning routine, a great evening routine has now become fundamentally part of my identity.
Interesting.
And that, I think, has been fundamental to still being in business. 17 years later. You've always got to evolve, but just knowing what are the things when you maybe have a down day, or maybe when the little voices are going, oh, can't be bothered, or whatever, what are the things that pick you up? So I know that exercise is key to me. I know that listening to a great podcast. I know that going to bed and having an evening routine is fundamental to the next day for me.
No, I completely agree. I think it's important, like you said, to have the structure. I think it's important to remind yourself of why you're doing this. And I think that you said something that's very key, that it's not necessarily self-doubt, but it's how to push back the voices in your head. Like, you're not doubting yourself and what you're capable of doing. You are just making sure that no matter what kind of little voices that maybe have negative thoughts appear, they are quickly taken away. So I think that's a fundamental difference between self-doubt and just a moment of like, oh, I'm really tired. Can I really do this today? Do I need to get out of bed? And you force yourself to do it. And you have a great product at the end of the day when you finish what you're supposed to finish that day, like having that task list of, okay, what am I doing to add value to my business? So I think it's a really cool tip, I think, for people listening to this episode, of like ways that they can ensure to stay motivated throughout their business. So do you by any chance have any kind of funny stories or memories throughout this entire process?
Oh my God, there's loads. Like random one would be when I first started my personal shopping and styling agency. I did get a call and someone asked me, could I go and buy a puppy for them? I was like, it's kind of not, yeah, exactly. I think one that's probably more related to the personal branding was, I sent a press release out when I first started my business, and it picked up by a lot of magazines and a lot of press. And one magazine in particular asked me, like, just to rewind everyone, this is the days when we still had fax machines. We didn't have phones with the capabilities that they have now. I know. And anyway, so I get this email back from a magazine. It was actually Emirates Woman. And they said to me, we'd love to feature you in the magazine. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Can you send a high resolution of yourself to a picture, high resolution image of yourself back to us so we can print it in the magazine? And I was like, what is a high resolution image? So I Googled it, and
Kelly.
and it was like one taken with a camera. And I was like, okay, I've got a camera. So I was living in an apartment block on Shakeside Road, as everyone was in those days, 20 years ago. I went downstairs. It was on the 17th floor. Went downstairs in the elevator, and there was a lovely security guard. And I said, would you mind taking a picture of me on my camera? And we just went outside because it was natural daylight, because I'd read that was really good. Took the picture, and then I just went back up the stairs, plugged in the device, and I sent it to them. And of course, sending anything in those days would take like 4 hours, because it was technically a large file, and they must have been rolling around the floor. And they're like, no, I'm sorry, we can't use this. And I was like, but I did everything that you asked me to.
I tried.
And that was my early lesson in knowing that you need to have professional images, and the power that having professional images can have on your personal brand. Like, I've had 7 front covers. 7.
Wow.
Because I've just basically given everything to the press, and they're like, oh, we can use this for this.
Wow, it's actually very interesting having to, like, the power of a professional photo and like how that impacted your brand in itself. So I guess that's the stationery, right? So that's one of the elements that
Absolutely.
You have that. Yeah. I'm learning. See, I got your toolkit ready now. That's pretty interesting though, about I mean, both parts, having to buy someone a dog and having to spend 4 hours sending a professional high resolution photo. Wow. So just so that we can kind of tie up everything that you've talked about today, what would you say is like maybe one or several strong pieces of advice you have for the listeners?
I'd kind of put it down to the personal brand piece. It's a question that I ask a lot of people is, especially when I do like a masterclass, who here has a personal brand? And like you look around and people are like, oh, well, I don't, or
what
maybe
is that? Yeah.
maybe I have a little one, or I have part one. And here's the thing, we all have a personal brand. It's just we might not be using it to the best of our capabilities, whether you're an employee, whether you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you have a personal brand, how you're being represented, and your digital footprint is out there. So a really good tip is Google yourself, find out what's out there, and then make a sort of the part of that S, to develop the strategy and developing that. How do you want to be known? Put it down to this. If you were to go on a date with someone and you didn't know who they were and you Googled them and there was nothing there out there about them, you'd be like,
who is this person?
Exactly. What's wrong with them? What are they hiding? Right. This is automatically where we go. Your personal brand and what you do in business is no different. So I would say, take control. It's not going anywhere. It's how you're developing that, and just know that it keeps on evolving.
Wow. I mean, I'm about to go Google myself right now. So be right back. Well,
Tell me what it says and tag me in.
I love it. No, but that's actually really interesting. Like you would never think that like, oh, I actually do have a personal brand. Like you don't have to work in communications or PR or marketing or whatever to recognize your own brand, right? Your brand is the person that you wake up with every day. It's just a matter of how you're positioning them to the public. So I completely agree with you. I think that you've shared some really important insights here. What I also do for my podcast page is like I do like business tips every now and then. So you've definitely given me so much content with this conversation.
Good. Oh, I'm so pleased.
No, of course. I definitely think that our listeners will have learned a lot today as well. And I'm so excited for everyone to kind of take these tips, into consideration for their own brands as well. But thank you so much, Kelly, for your time this morning.
You are welcome. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Of course. Thank you so much. And guys, there's a new episode out every other weekend. So if you have any questions for Kelly, leave a comment in the comment box below. I almost forgot what I was going to say there. Bye, guys.
See you.